Hello, happy Pride Month. I'm here, I'm queer, and today, lesbians.
Somehow, you get worse at speaking every time you do it. That wasn't even an actual sentence.
We don't need full sentences when we got lesbians, I mean poetry.
What?
Sappho. We're talking about Sappho. For as long as man has possessed the ability to read and write in a language, the art of poetry has existed as a means of expressing the highs and lows of the human experience. Poetry takes many forms, from the epic stories of the Iliad and Gilgamesh to the simple songs you hear on the radio on your way to work. Yeah, you f***ing with some wet Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet Give me everything you got for this wet What? The ancient world has had its fair share of master poets, and many of their works have survived into the modern day, but no poets are remembered in quite the same way as Sappho of Lesbos. What we know about Sappho actually isn't much. Like the remaining fragments of her poetry, all the stories that exist about her are pieces of an incomplete picture. Almost everything else seems to have been lost to time. But the one thing that hasn't been lost to time is, of course, the lesbianism. I'm Vibby. And on this episode of A Space Alien Explains, Sappho. Big disclaimer, we really don't know jack about this lady. Almost all the information circulating about her came from pieces written years or even centuries after she died, so they're not really too reliable. There could be a hint of truth in them somewhere, but overall, I don't know. Nobody knows. Sappho was born on the Greek island of Lesbos sometime between 630 and 612 BCE. She was from a wealthy aristocratic family whose members are very inconsistently reported. She had 2 or 3 brothers. Her mother was named Cleis, which is the same name she would later call her own daughter, and she also had a husband named Kerkylas. Yeah, we'll talk about Kerkylas. I hear he's kind of a Sappho lived during a period of political turbulence on Lesbos, and she was exiled to Sicily around the year 600 BCE. The reasons for her exile aren't very clear, though some may think it may be because of conflicts with political elites. By the time of her exile, it seems she was already very well known. One of her contemporaries described her as violet-haired, pure, honey-smiling. But Sappho was not an epic poet. Rather, she wrote short lyrical verses on a variety of topics, from hymns to wedding songs to many tales of the gods, all meant to be accompanied with music. She is most well known for her songs about desire and love, which are directed at both men and women, but especially women. She would rather draw 25 than not talk about women. Although Sappho wrote around 10,000 lines of poetry, only about 650 have survived. None of her poems exist in a complete form except for one, the Ode to Aphrodite. Many of Sappho's surviving fragments contain only a single word. Would you imagine discovering the ruins of an ancient library? Centuries of potentially undiscovered knowledge all gathered into one place, and the only thing you find is a scrap of paper that just says "get." I would die. Sappho was eventually allowed to return to her beloved home of Lesbos. She is believed to have died around 570 BCE, but the manner of her death is unclear. While many details of her life remain unknown, Sappho's impact on the world would become more evident in the centuries following her death. Her poetry was highly admired in antiquity, so much so that some referred to her as the 10th Muse. But her reputation wasn't always so positive. She became a stock character of sorts in many Greek stories, especially plays. In these works, she was either written as Sappho the Great Poet or Sappho the Notorious. I also wish to be known as a great poet and notorious. It's from her appearances in the works of other authors where we get a lot of the information that's circulating about her. So now we get to the fun part, and I'm sure the question we've all been asking. How gay was Sappho? One of the more popular legends about Sappho's death claims that she jumped from a cliff when a ferryman named Phaon rejected her romantic feelings. Scholars consider this to be highly unlikely, since the tale seems to have originated from an Athenian playwright named Menander. He might have been trying to inject a bit of comedic irony in his writing by having a woman famous for lesbian poetry kill herself over a man. Remember at the beginning when I said Sappho had a husband named Kerkylas? Well, his full name is Kerkylas of Andros, which translates to... Am I actually allowed to say this? Are we gonna get demonetized? It translates to all from Man Island. Which is exactly what I would put if I was forging a marriage certificate. So Kerkylas might have been written as a joke, but I'm sure Sappho's girlfriend thought it was hilarious. And because isn't real, I mean Kerkylas. There is a possibility that Sappho's daughter Cleis might not be real either. Some have suggested Cleis could be one of Sappho's younger lovers rather than her daughter. Or a slave. We don't know. There are also claims that Sappho ran a school to prepare girls for marriage or was the leader of a religious community, but no one's really sure if any of that was real either. In the end, all that survives that is unquestionably true to Sappho is her poetry. In the time of the Romans, critics found her work lustful and maybe even homosexual. The poet Horace described her as masculine. This could mean he was commenting on her talent for poetry, which at the time men were more likely to excel at, or in the words of Porphyrio, because she is maligned for having been a tribid. Holy this is gay. There's a legend that claims Pope Gregory VII ordered Sappho's works to be burned, which is why so many of her poems were lost. And that's silly. It's not like the church has a long history of persecuting homosexuals. Wait a second. In actuality, Sappho's poetry probably wasn't copied more and gradually disappeared because of a lack of demand. Her original dialect was difficult for readers to understand, even in ancient times. The Library of Alexandria also housed 9 volumes of her work, but we all know what happened with that, and I'm not ready to talk about it. In the modern era, Sappho has become a symbol of desire and love between women. Her own name and the name of her island home gave us the terms sapphic and lesbian, which both refer to women who are attracted to other women. Although the subject of Sappho's sexuality has been hotly debated over the years, it's generally accepted today that her poetry portrays homoerotic feelings, and no matter how many times people might try to claim Sappho was a heterosexual, it's impossible to deny how large her influence is on queer culture and history. I realize that this video has probably brought up more questions about Sappho than it answered, but we can't just bring her back from the dead and ask her what we want to know. Pask says I'm banned from at least 6 planets for necromancy, and I don't even know what that means. This topic was chosen by my patrons, so a big thank you to my honorary aliens Abukiri Chris and Shinare. Stick around to the end of the video to see who else out there is also an honorary alien. If you want to become an honorary alien yourself, head on over to my Patreon at patreon.com/aspacealienexplains, where you can vote on upcoming episode topics, watch uncensored videos, and more. If you're itching for more queer history, why not check out my video on the gayest army, the Sacred Band of Thebes? Or if you're a disaster bisexual like myself and want to know more about disaster bisexuals of the past, check out this video on La Moupin. That's all for today, and thanks for stopping by. I gotta go back to work on getting banned from more planets for raising the dead, but I wish you all a happy Pride. Hi everyone! Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. This week's featured fan art is by A Crispy Demon on Twitter. Link to the artist page is in the description. And here's some comments from the last video. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. If you'd like to support the channel, links to my Patreon, Ko-Fi page, and art commission info are in the description. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Taya Ozaida for art and channel updates. Thank you so much again for watching, and here come the honorary aliens.